I thought, is there something going on that I don't know about? Is witchcraft a thing with millennials? And like, there's a lot of sort of witchcrafty films coming out now that are doing well. Like The Witch, Hereditary had elements of witchcraft, and the guy that made Hereditary, or the girl, was it a guy or a girl? Oh, whoever, the person who made Hereditary, his follow-up film is very like much going down that kind of witchcrafty vibe. So like, yeah, I'd be like, you even writing a witchcraft fucking script, man. We're all on this train. I was like, what's the interest in fucking witchcraft? And I did a search and I just put millennials and witchcraft, and I found fucking tons of different articles. Which, like, it's not like if you have one sort of subject these days and you find lots of articles about the same subject, different slants on it. No, there's lots of, all from around the same period of late 2018, but lots of different people interviewed. And I was like, okay, all right, this is a thing. This is a thing. I was like, is this a I was like, I think this is a thing, and it is a fucking thing. That's totally under the radar. So embrace this lunacy. And obviously, look, we live in, I mean, especially in the UK, we live in a very atheist time, I suppose you could say, a godless time. Not many, people don't go to church. People sort of, religion's sort of on the back burner. I'd say white honkies, whitey, European types. But apparently, not just them, as I found other articles. So, this is a Western world phenomenon. Western world. I don't like the way I said that. I really hate myself for the way I said that. I apologise. Right, look. Why millennials are ditching religion for witchcraft and astrology, which is even more hilarious. Like, ditching for pseudoscience. It's like, when Coco Lane, a Brooklyn-based producer, well, it would be, meets someone new these days, the first question that comes up in conversation is, where do you live, or what do you do, or what's your sign? Or, but what's your sign? That's always been a thing, isn't it? What's your sign? There are people that say that. So many millennials read their horoscopes every day and believe them. Lane, who is involved in a number of non-religious spiritual practices, said, it is a good reference point to identify and place people in the world. What a fucking millennial thing to say. Oh, all this full disclosure, I am a millennial, so this is my people. I'll talk about them how I want. Right, that's such a whack thing to say. My place in the world. Your place is to get born, to fuck, and then die. For most of us, okay? Just enjoy it. It's like a billion. I can't remember the chances of actually being born are, but it's ridiculous. We're all blessed, basically. Interest in spirituality has been booming in recent years, while interest in religion plummets. Woo. Especially among millennials, the majority of Americans now believe it is not necessary to believe in God to have good morals, a study from Pew Research Center found. The percentage of people between the ages of 18 and 29 who never doubt the existence of God fell from 81% in 2007 to 67% in 2012. Oh, what a godless society we're becoming. Oh, fancy that. Well, maybe explains probably a lot. Now, people of all religious people are not going to like this. Like, we are the fucking enemy, as far as I'm concerned. Heretics, non-believers. We are. I say we. I mean, because I don't know what I believe. I believe in these nuts. Meanwhile, more than half of young adults in the US believe astrology is a science. I'm sorry. Look, full disclosure, I don't worship the moon, but I do embrace its energy. I'm gonna sound like such a hippy-dippy twat, but I do embrace like natural energy. Like I do forest bathing, and every full moon I go out and enjoy a full moon, and I do stuff like that. I love nature, and I think Britain especially, we were better off when we were fucking pagans. I think we were I mean, maybe they gave us some morals. I mean, there's some good morals in Christianity, as there is in all religions. There's good morals, there's good moral foundation, but it's all the bullshit that comes with it is the problem. And now we are living in an age when we can, we can have a. I guess the UK is a Christian country because its sort of moral code is based on Christianity. But then you can mix it up. You can mix it up with some fucking wacky shit, right? Now, obviously, the planets and the stars and all kinds of things. The moon does affect things. The tide. werewolves. It affects stuff. So, nature, and there's so much stuff we don't know. I mean, I can believe in like interdimensional beings and fucking like parallel universes, all that shit. Anything's possible. But so I don't fully dismiss like the alignment of the stars have always been important, and different seasons affect things. Nature does affect stuff, but to believe astrology, right, as actual astrology as a science is a bit wacky to me. I'm sorry, I don't think you can put that in science. I think many scientists would definitely slap you down for that kind of belief. Is it the fact that so it's like what Mystic Meg. Ooh, if you were born between the month of May and today could be the day that you meet that tall dark stranger, or a small blonde one, maybe with gifts, maybe without gifts. They will have something interesting for you. Ooh, is that a fucking science? No, it's not. So let's not be silly. And look at this. Someone needs to correct that. Where's the capital C? Compared to less than 8% of the Chinese public. My goodness. The psychic services industry, which includes astrology, aura reading, mediumship, tarot card. I used to read tarot cards when I was younger. That's quite good at it. Obviously, no, I didn't predict nothing, but I've still got them they're in this room somewhere. It's such a good hustle. It's a good hustle. But I believe, I'm well into a lot of spiritual and like weird stuff, but like, I'm an open-minded person, so therefore I don't have to believe, I'm not going to live by nonsense. Among other metaphysical services, grew 2% between 2011 and 2016, is now worth $2 billion annually, according to the industry analyst. Oh, maybe I should shut up. There might be a business idea. It's alright, I'll just put a different name on it. Melissa Jane, owner of Brooklyn-based metaphysical boutique. Now is that her? I don't know. There's a hustler. But Catland, that is Catland. She is hustling idiots, man. Said she has seen a major uptick in interest in the occult in the past 5 years, especially among New Yorkers in their 20s. Oh, God. The store offers workshops like Witchcraft 101, Astrology 101, and a spirit seance. Mate, if you can make money from doing this, as many people have, go for it. Oh, just go for it, for goodness sake, man. Whether it be spell casting, tarot, astrology, meditation, and trance, or herbalism, these traditions offer tangible ways for people to enact change in their lives, she said. For a generation that grew up in a world of big industry, environmental destruction, large and oppressive governments, and toxic social structures, all of which seem too big to change, this can be incredibly attractive. Yes, that would appeal to millennials. Yes, that's right. Well, you can believe in all kinds. You can believe in the nonsense of a toxic social structure and choose this nonsense instead. Like the existence of God, however, there's no actual scientific proof. Yes, brilliant. Astrology has been debunked by numerous academic studies, but Banu Gula, co-founder of artificial intelligence-powered astrology app CoStar, said the lack of structure in the field is exactly what drives young, educated professionals to invest their time and money in the practice. Look, if you think you get something out, if you actually do get something out of it, fair enough. And it's like, fair enough. Like I'm mocking it a bit, but like you can't mock astrology and then hold religion in such high regard, as in it's a protected class that's tax exempt in some places, where there's such a thing as religious bigotry. Well, like if you cuss out Mystic Meg, it's astrological bigotry. What I'm saying, I think it is ridiculous that religion gets put on this pedestal that's like untouchable, and it's silly. It's one rule for one and one rules for others. That's not the way it should be. Everyone knows that. Even idiots know that. And if they don't, well, why are you still breathing? It's very different. I'm joking. Am I? I don't know. Am I joking? Of course I'm joking. But seriously, sort your life out. It's very different from the way we usually work and live and date, where everything is hyper-meditated, hyper-mediated and rational. Yeah, I mean, hell, fuck rational. There is a belief vacuum. We go from work to a bar to dinner and a date with no semblance of meaning. Astrology is a way out of it, a way of putting yourself in the context of thousands of years of history in the universe. So, you know, stop believing in one silly belief like organized religion, and just live your life by another silly belief based on nothing. I mean, what a great idea! Yeah, that's fantastic. You know, I'm gonna reject this silly notion of a man god in the sky that tells me what to do, and I'm gonna live my life by astrology. It's like, why can't you just believe in yourself, eh? Hey, what's wrong with that? Case in point, CoStar servers were so overwhelmed by demand after it launched in October 2017 that the app crashed 3 times in the first week. Maybe it was a shit app. 1 year later, it has more than 1 million users, among them celebrities including Dua Lipa and Kalani. I don't think those are 2 great endorsements. Astrology isn't the only spiritual field overwhelmed by demand. Danielle Ioka, the founder of spiritual subscription service Mystic Lipstick, like, do you know what you're doing? It's like you're sort of saying, "Oh, we're against big corporations. We're gonna monetize spirituality. You're gonna monetize monetize spirituality. How are you any different from organized religion?" Oh, good lord, Mystic Lipstick, blow me. Said a customer base is growing exponentially. The self-described astrologer sells a Mystic box subscription. That's a hustle. Reiki infused bath salts. People really are fucking stupid. It's bizarre. Like, so many millennials are like fucking anti-capitalism, but they are just cannot. But they're like consumed by they are slaves to consumerism. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. Like, what I consider to be sort of one of the sort of like less as part of capitalism I don't like is consumer. I'm not a fan of consumerism to an extent. And consumerism can lead you to living a sort of a life of nonsense. Like the fact that the iPad exists it still bugs me. I remember the iPad came out and I go, what is this? This is silly. This is silly. But everyone had to get one. Why? Like, because consumerism tells you that, you know, when there wasn't a void, there was no void in your life. You didn't need this, but suddenly, without having it, there's a void in your life. It like creates a void in your existence, like a missing fucking arm. Like, it's you know, or a dead pet, a dead loved one. There's a void, but the void in it it's always bugged me, and I've always thought that's just stupid. You don't need it, but suddenly you can't live without it because suddenly they've gone, oh, you need this iPad. I remember someone saying, oh, the iPad was like, oh, you can chill in your hammock and watch a film. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, you absolute knob cheese? Right, but this is it. You know, they'll reject. Oh, I reject society, I reject capitalism. Oh, what's that? A Reiki box for $14.99 a month? Like, oh, come on, give me a break, you ridiculous person. When I started my journey in 2010, I was the weirdo. She said, now it is becoming more and more normalized. Well, if it becomes more and more normalized, I don't want to know, because I always like being the weirdo, so fuck you. And I believe it is because more people are looking to heal. Millennials are much more open-minded. No, they're not. They think they are, but they're not. They're really not. They're very close-minded. They're not. They sort of pretend they're open-minded, but they're not. With this overwhelming demand comes a rise of products claiming metaphysical benefits. Look at this. Urban Outfitters sells Sage, a product that has its roots in indigenous cleansing ceremonies, for $18 a pop and a crystal. Oh my god, I'm so getting in on this. I am getting in on this, right? Right, I'll write that down. I'm going to start drop shipping ridiculously expensive stuff to idiots. Right, actress turned CEO Gwyneth Paltrow. Because, you know, if you're going to do a business and you don't believe in it, at least do a business where you believe that the right thing to do is to exploit your customers because they're stupid. It's a great business model, and it's a noble cause because you're taking money from stupid people and giving it to someone who deserves it. Actress turned CEO actress turned CEO. You don't turn into a CEO when you start. You just start a business. Now, anyway, I'm a fucking CEO. I didn't turn into one. It's just a fucking job title on a business. Anyway, so Gwyneth Paltrow sells a variety of spiritual wares on her website, many of which are borrowed or inspired by other cultures. Oh, borrowed, not appropriated. A jade egg. That costs $66. Well, jade is expensive. I like jade. I'd spend money on jade. That's fine. Has its roots in ancient Taoist practice. $85 goop medicine bag is inspired by the shaman's medicine bag from various indigenous traditions, and a $59 tarot card deck. $59 for tarot cards? Who are they drawn by? Mystical artwork that mirrors Native American patterns. But Lane, whose interest in Eastern medicine is rooted in her Taiwanese heritage, said white women are often able to profit from ancient practices that are not theirs to sell. Oh, well, you would have to say that, wouldn't you? They'd have to drop something like that in the end, wouldn't they? They'd just have to. You just can't write an article these days without dropping a clanger like that. It is really important to give credit to who is doing the work. There is a whole culture of white women who capitalise off the spirituality, but it all comes from people of colour. No, it doesn't all come from people of colour. Look, I got a lot of family in Wales who are very spiritual. I got a cousin who believes in fairies, straight up. She's a gardener, an award-winning gardener. She's totally adamant that fairies are real. She talks to them, she leaves them gifts, and she has an amazing garden. My great auntie was pretty psychic. Like they. Out in the valleys, man, there's believing in some shit. And there's all kinds of witchcraft shit that comes from fucking white people. Excuse me. What are you do? Like, oh god, I sound like a fucking white supremacist. Oh, good lord. But no, I hate that. Saying white women capitalize on spirituality, but it all comes from people of color. Spirituality doesn't all come from people of color. You absolute nincompoop. What a stupid thing to say. It's so stupid. But of course, you're a nonsense peddler. And hang on, they're capitalizing. Look, you are capitalizing off white people because it's a majority of these people are like white. Let's face it, they are in it. Like, come on, these stupid idiots are white girls. Are they not? So that's a real flippant, stupid thing. Like, don't be a fucking bozo. I don't see you out there like, it's all stolen from people of color. Excuse me, you're fucking rinsing white women. You're absolutely fleecing them with nonsense. Look at these white bitches believing all this stupid shit. Let's sell them some crap. I'll say my grandma was a shaman. Please. Nice try, dickhead. Now, it's not just in America. Oh, God, we're going to have to go back to the Mail Online, unfortunately. So this is going to suck all the bandwidth out of every household in this estate, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. Sorry if you're trying to play Warcraft or weird sex games. Now, hopefully this will load up in time for Christmas. Right, meet Generation Hex. The wit. Why millennials in search of spiritual support are turning to witchcraft. At first glance, if you scroll through Holly Castle's Instagram page, it looks like any other millennials feed, filled with striking selfies, photos of her dogs, and coffee from hipster cafes. But you'll also see posts showing crystals, tarot cards, herbs, and the severed heads of chickens. No, herbs, potions, and spellbooks. This is because a 27-year-old full-time blogger and writer is an idiot. No, is one of a growing number of young women, here it goes, young women again, who are turning to witchcraft as a way to relax and ground themselves. It's weird. I like witchcraft as a way to ground yourself. It's not about devil worship and curses. These women, dubbed Generation Hex, cast spells to increase self-confidence. It's just funny. I tell you, it's funny because it's like, I'm so disenchanted with my life. I'm just going to resort to thinking I'm a witch and casting spells. You stupid broken fucks. This is so tragic. It's tragic. And it's a fad as well. This is what annoys me. It's a fad. Look, there's people who truly, like I said, I know people who from day one believe in this shit. And it's like, now you're just doing this because you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like culture vulturing works in all kinds of mysterious ways, my friends. Okay? Alright? Let's not forget that. Fucking bandwagon jumping. They've taken their craft online. Well, of course they have, turning it into a subculture in its own right. Well, if it's not online, it doesn't exist. And using hashtags, including as soon as you have a witchcraft-based hashtag, you're a whack fuck. I'm sorry, you use whack. Like, come on, witchcraft should be left out in the fucking. It shouldn't be on the internets. It should be out there. In the stone circles, the murderous sacrifice altar and shit. Oh man, I was raised in a loosely pagan household. Oh, what? Did your mum go for long walks? Is that what it was? My mum went for long walks. Where practices such as caring for the environment were instilled in me from a young age. And that's not being pagan. That's being environmentalist. Being pagan is worshipping the fucking. All right. Okay, it's a bit different. Part of the driving force behind my blog was that I wanted to share more witchcraft-based lifestyle rather than sticking to the mainstream. So it was a niche for your silly blog. Come on, this is nonsense capitalism. This is right, okay. This is business. Other witchcraft influencers include US-based The Hood Witch, which has 294,000 Instagram followers and often posts stunning images of her long painted talons gripping colourful crystals, and Toxic Tears, who has more than 350,000 subscriptions to her alternative lifestyle YouTube channel. We'll have to check that out one day. The online popularity of the 21-year-old Norwich witch Harmony Nice, 400,000 YouTube subscribers and blah blah blah, recently landed her a book deal about her witchcraft, which she practices as part of her Wiccan beliefs. Well, Wiccan's a very modern thing. Harrogate-based Deb Robinson runs Witch Casket with 23-year-old daughter Ella for £27 a month. Now, the last one was $14.99, which in pounds is it's probably about £12. So, fucking hell, this is extortionate compared to that. Subscribers receive a box of witchcraft supplies such as spell ingredients, herbs, and candles. The service is popular among YouTube influencers who post videos of themselves unboxing and talking their viewers through the contents, getting up to 40,000. That's not a lot. Since launching Witchcast 18 months ago. So look, this is all just businesses. This is what this is. It's a trend to launch silly online businesses. A trend I am fully jumping on, by the way. Like fucking Glastonbury's only down the fucking road. I can send my mum there whilst I'm out of the country. So go pick up some silly crystals, put it in a box. We'll send it to some inner city twats. Oh, this is going to be I'm going to make so much money out of these idiots. I love it. They see practicing witchcraft as something that is empowering, aesthetically pleasing. There are a lot of amazing images out there on social media. It's also a form of escapism. Looking inside yourself to find peace is very appealing at the moment with everything that's going on in the world. I know, everything's going on in the world. Well, not in my world, but out there. Celebrities are getting in on the misty cool action. Lana Del Rey said she put a hex on Donald Trump using witchy imagery in her videos over the last hour. Well, watch out, Donald. There's a hex. While rapper Azealia Banks has declared in several interviews that she's a witch. Didn't Azealia Banks make some sort of lucky charm for what's the Twitter guy? Oh shit. Jack Dorsey. Yeah, Jack Dorsey, because ISIS so they're going to behead him. She may. This year's Met Gala, musician Grimes, Elon Musk's girlfriend, stood out in her new age witch look. Oh, let's see, a new age witch look. This is whack. And look, recent collections by the likes of Dior, Alexander Wang, and Gucci, featuring an Instagram era witches, tend to follow this eye-catching look. It's not real witchcraft, man. It's just a fucking fad of bullshit. That's what it is. It's just another millennial whack fad. Everything has to be a trend in order for them to do it. They can't fucking set trends. Well, someone sets a trend, and then they just follow these trends. Oh, it's a trend, is it? Oh, I'll do that. I'm an idiot. Like, Oh, these people are whack. Oh, it's about finding a place in the world, said my publicist. That's what your fucking PR course told you to do. Oh, it's so... Oh, do me a favour. Leave witchcraft alone, for goodness sake, would you, idiots? Go do something else. Oh, but we ain't done yet. Because, as I said, look, white girls. In America, white girls. In Britain, white girls. I'm just saying, it's probably just young. Well, they say young millennial women. But what they mean is young white girls. I haven't seen a single black face amongst this. But aha! I found another article on The Atlantic. You know The Atlantic, that really good website. Wow. There's witches of Baltimore. Yes, there's black witches in America. We have black witches. Black witches in America. Now we know of black witches in Africa. Did you know in the Central African Republic, better known as, or just the Central African Republic, is one of the only places in the world where witchcraft is illegal and you can actually face jail terms. And I think it's like, watch Unreported World is a good one. Channel 4's Unreported World from a few years ago, if you can find it, about witchcraft in Central African Republic. It's a fucking eye-opener, because it's like, I think almost 50% of the prison population at that time, so probably about 4 or 5 years ago, so it probably hasn't changed too much since then, are convicted witches. And they actually put this guy on trial, and the like the chief witness or whatever it's called, the key witness is the local witch. And she's this buck wild old lady. She's like 80 odd, can't fucking see. And her evidence against this man is that she lit a fire and then a snake told her that this man who was on trial would turn into a jackal, I think it was, or a dog. It was some sort of dog-like animal, and would go around trying to steal the breath out of babies or try and eat babies. It was definitely involving babies. And this talking snake told her that in a fire. And this evidence was enough to send him to prison. In fact, his lawyer told him to take a plea bargain, and he said, and then the judge says, right, well, prove that you can turn into this animal. And the guy's like, I can't. He said, oh, I need this special leaf that's out of season, and I put it on my head, and then I turn into an animal. I shit you not. And this is all legit. It's like, what the fuck? And the guy goes to jail. It was better for him to take a plea bargain and say, yeah, fuck it, I'm a witch. I turn into a dog at night and suck out a baby's breath, and then you get thrown in jail. It's fucking crazy. Like, so that's, you know, that's black witchcraft in Africa, but black witchcraft in America. This is something different. We may not be Christian here, but we still pray, said a woman dressed entirely in white as she addressed a large audience of African American women. Always, why is it with you women being witches? It's not like just because it's a cool trend now. God, I used to burn witches, you know. Standing behind a lectern, speaking in the cadences of a preacher. Could you imagine that? Speaking like an African American preacher, a black American preacher, but preaching witchcraft shit. That's just too. Oh. Oh, I can't even do it. And we worship the trees. We burn the. Oh, I can't do it. I understand God more now doing what I'm doing than I ever did in the church. The call and response that followed, no one's going to protect us, but who? Us. Was reminiscent of church, but this was no traditional sermon. The speaker, say Ayawo Orisa Ometola, was giving the keynote address last month at the 3rd annual Black Witch Convention. Very niche. Which brought together some 200 women in Baltimore's reception hall. The small but growing community points to hundreds of young black women who are leaving Christianity in favor of their ancestors' African spiritual traditions and finding a sense of power in the process. Now, this is it's getting choppy. Is like of their ancestors' African spiritual traditions. It's like known Americans is like they probably aren't following it properly, and like have they traced back to which part of Africa they're from and what those traditions are. Or is it just a generalized American sort of idea of what African witchcraft is? Going, well, I seen it in this movie. Like, you know, I just don't have much faith in Americans doing stuff right when it comes to that. America, they talk about cultural appropriation all the time, but they don't even know what culture they're talking about half the time. How can they even appropriate a culture when they don't even understand most cultures? It's bizarre, isn't it? Over the past decade, white millennials have embraced witchcraft in droves. This has been the past decade. Now a parallel phenomenon is emerging among black millennials. While their exact numbers are difficult to gauge, it's clear that African-American pop culture has started to reflect the trend. In the music industry alone, there's Beyonce's allusion to an African goddess. I don't think, like, associating witchcraft with African pagan beliefs, I don't think it's the same. Like, yeah, there's some witchery that goes on in Africa, but saying like, see, and this is America. I don't think you're quite understanding it all. Like, I don't fully understand. But I know, like, look, allusion to an African goddess in Lemonade and at the Grammys. That's not like a goddess. Is that? I don't know. Like, it just seems a bit. Seems almost like it's written. It almost seems like it's written by a white supremacist. It's very strange. Azealia Banks' declaration that she practices brujeria, a Spanish term for witchcraft. Yeah, but that's... And Princess Nokia's hit Bruges, in which she tells white witches, everything you got from us. Oh, will you... Again, this thing, look. We had fucking witches, right, across Europe, in England, fucking for thousands of years, man. Like, come on. Like, we didn't even... Like, what the fuck? Do you really think... What do you think happened? Do you think in colonial times, the stiff upper lip ultra Christian brigade went to Africa and went, oh, look at all these savages doing their wonderful witchcraft. Let's steal that. Like, no, they beat them over the head with a Bible and saying, stop doing that. You'll do what I say. I'm bloody British. That's how it went down. They went, stop worshipping that tree, you idiot. Here's Jesus. That's what happened. Like, I don't, like, no one went over and stole witchcraft from Africa. It's a very, like, it's just got so out of hand, this thing, isn't it? It's like, oh, you stole our witchcraft. Like, what? What are you saying? You stole our witchcraft, you fucking lunatic. Stole our witchcraft, he did. No. Stole our witchcraft. That's gold. Oh man, there's been witches for as like we was burning witches before we even knew where Africa was. African American witchcraft originated in West Africa, the birthplace of Yoruba, a set of religious traditions focused on reverence for ancestors and worship of a. Now you're saying Yoruba is witchcraft? Those traditions are like this. It's getting a bit weird. There's a company in West Africa, like in West Africa, it's like Muti. I know in Senegal they practice Muti, which is voodoo's kind of an offshoot where it's like they're similar. But like, I don't think. But Africa's the same as Europe. You know, they still burn witches and shit as well. Like. Like they burn witches too, and I think being a witch is always like the same. I don't know. This is getting very. Those traditions accompany West Africans who were brought to the Americas as slaves. Yeah, we know all this. Everyone knows this. Blah blah blah. By the Cuban Santeria, Brazilian candomblé, Haitian voodoo, and other syncretistic faiths had emerged as a result. In cities like New Orleans, voodoo, slightly different from Haitian voodoo and hoodoo, which also descend from West African faiths, grew popular. These practices, which often involve manipulating candles, incense, or water to achieve a desired result. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Modern black witches are practicing Yoruba-based faiths with a few millennial touches. Oh, God, that sounds terrible. Like, Yoruba's like a tribe. Yoruba's a... Like, you know they're getting it wrong. They build altars to ancestors so they can seek their advice on everything from romance to professional advancement. But who are your ancestors, though? Like, come on. Do you know them? I bet half of America don't know who their fucking ancestors are at all, really. Everybody just made it up. They're going, I'm Irish, or where in Ireland are you from? I don't know, the Irish part. It's like, shut up. To help banish depression, surround themselves with crystals in hope that they will relieve stress, and burn sage to cleanse their apartments of negative energy. Some hallmarks of millennial spirituality, what a term, are common to both white and African American witches. They're typically disillusioned with hierarchical institutions, the Catholic Church, for example, and attracted to the do-it-yourself spiritual but not religious practices such as the use of crystals. But the budding Black Witch community also has unique traits, including a desire for safe spaces. Oh my god. They really have... How can you ruin witchcraft? This is terrible. Awareness of cultural appropriation. Oh my god. Well, you're appropriating it anyway, because, like, come on, man. Come on, you weren't practicing Muti or voodoo or any of that. Like, you weren't practicing this shit until just recently. You're very far removed from, like, where you were. It's like me saying, "Oh, I'm a Russian Orthodox Christian." What? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm descended from Ashkenazi Jews. Like, if you go way back, like fucking like 5, 6 about 4, 5 generations, 4, I think. It's a lot on my mother's side. On my mama's side. Like, do you expect me to start going to the synagogue? Start having a Sabbath on Friday? I'm honouring my. Like, come on. It's stupid. It's like, you are very far removed from where you once came. I'm sorry, but you are. Like, Americans need to understand that. It's like, look, come on. Like, most people have descended from somewhere else. Like, in a lot of places, it's like, what, you're just suddenly going to decide, oh, I need a safe space. I'm going to go reclaim my fucking, like, I've just done my Ancestry.com. Apparently I'm, I don't know. Apparently I originated in Tibet. Well, I'm going to be a Buddhist now to honour the traditions. Come on, man. Stop being stupid. And look at this. A wariness of cultural approach and a penchant for digital religion. Ugh. Many black witches nervous about practicing witchcraft openly. Because they burn witches still, don't they? Feel more comfortable meeting online than in person. So they're whack witches. Some fear they'll be shamed by devout Christian parents, according to Margarita Guillory, a Boston University professor who studies African religion in the digital age. The internet is almost becoming like a hush harbour for these witches of colour. Yeah, but surely it's like, look, black people are well religious. That's right. So who's going to be going at them? Because it's the Atlantic. You know where they're trying to allude to. It's like fucking the Klan are going to be after them or something. It's like nah, man, you're going to be persecuted. Like, I can't imagine your preacher being fucking too happy about you fucking worshipping trees and kissing crystals and shit. Referring to the internet is like a hush harbour for these witches of colour. So referring to places where slaves gathered in secret to practice their religions in antebellum America. Online, an avatar or handle allows women to speak freely. A popular Tumblr promotes inspirational images of black witches, and Facebook groups for women have thousands of members each, while some have even developed smartphone apps. Some young women at the Baltimore convention told me their parents had long hid their grandmother's or great-grandmother's involvement with witchcraft, a decision the millennials resented until they realized their parents may have felt the need to suppress any talk of magic because their ancestors were harshly punished for their rituals. Well, that's an interesting angle on it. I don't know. Maybe this goes on and on and on, and like this one. So yeah, here's some black witches. They literally don't look like witches. While some millennials enter the black witch community seeking answers, others are simply hungry for a place where they can belong. Oh, boo-hoo. It's so stupid. I will say this about the black witches, though. I mean, we've looked at the American white women witches, and we looked at the black witch, the British women, British millennial witches. The African American, so the black African Americans, they're not Africans, man. They're black. You're black, man. You ain't African, man. It's been a long time since you was in Africa, bro. You know. I don't know. Where's the English Americans at? Like, come on, let's stop being. Come on, get with the times. Come on. You're not swanning off to Africa and everyone calling you African, all right? They're going to say, no, you're American. We can tell by how loud your voice is and how erratic you are. Now, but I will say the black American witches, out of all these silly millennial witches, they seem like possibly the most legit because they're practicing something that isn't to do with an online business. I haven't seen anything mention online businesses here. It's all more very like namby-pamby going, oh, we need some space, because that's what the others are saying. Oh, we need our space and to find ourselves. It's like, also, I have this witch box you can buy every month for 27. Seems like maybe it's coming from a better place of like trying to practice a religious practices that were stamped out by the the spread of Christianity and Islam across Africa. Practices that are sort of looked down upon today, but are actually maybe a good thing. But but also, if it's a religious practice where you have a woman that looks in a fire and talks to a snake and gets you thrown in jail, I'm not too sure about. That. Obviously, bad witchcraft is illegal in Central African Republic, because obviously the other witch was a good witch. Okay, right. So not all witchcraft. Anyway, but if they want to embrace, if you want to embrace West African, West African traditional religions and pagan beliefs, cool. But do it properly and don't just appropriate it, America. Okay, don't culture vulture. Don't do that, because I can tell that you probably aren't doing it right. And it might be, and that really is appropriating someone else's culture. Because it is. Play by the rules. Play by the rules you invented. And this article just goes on to literally, it wouldn't be an article about black women in the Atlantic if they didn't mention Donald Trump or the Me Too movement. And it does. So, that's good, isn't it? Always exciting. Right. What else did we have on here? Now, obviously, there's the... Alright. There is millennials communicating with the whole witchcraft. Just because I mentioned it. And this is my starting point, was this. Meet the young people who believe they're communicating with the dead. Why are some millennials turning to the supernatural? So it's not just... It's all the supernatural. And this one goes on and on. So they millennials are doing seances now and talking to the dead. Seances. Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. Always beware of a church that's called a spiritualist or something like that. Happy, wacky, clappy places. So, oh yeah, look, and it goes back to comments last year. The US psychic service industry made $2 billion, as we wrote from that other article. It's a 2% increase. So, this is a business thing. And this is a very long article for something that's... And think about how much work Darren Brown has done to disprove spiritualists and seances as basically being fucking, charlatans and manipulators, rip-off merchants, fraudsters, whichever way you want to put it. Like, think about how much this stuff has been debunked and how awful it really is, preying on people's misery and need to speak to loved ones. Like, think about that, man. And here it is. Millennials are fucking turning to it in droves. Yeah. Possibly one of the worst generations to walk the earth that I'm a part of. Hey, doesn't it feel good? Jesus Christ.